Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Anyone want to listen live? We should send the link out.
No. All right. Well, fucking Scott. Can't take him anywhere. All right. So I'll start it off by doing the intro to the show. We're going to talk about movie news, the movie challenge, which is week 6 now, and it's week 5 and 6, isn't it? Or is it?
I didn't watch this.
6 and 7.
6 and 7, I think.
Shit.
Yeah, 6 was the silent movie.
Right. Okay.
Sweet. You can talk about falling asleep in the 13-minute silent movie.
Who fell asleep?
Scoot did on the bus.
Did you fall asleep on a bus in the 13-minute movie?
Yes. I wasn't on the bus, I was at home.
Oh, jeez.
Let's leave that. Let's leave that for the thing. That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Scoot, can you give me a test on your mic just so I can make sure I can hear you properly? Talk how you're going to talk.
Hey, this is Scott.
Can you move a little bit back?
Okay, I'm moving a little bit back. And is this any better?
It's not any worse.
You don't hate it? Is that what you're trying to say?
That is what I'm trying to say. Go one more time. Keep talking.
Hey, this is Scott. I'm going to just talk about things.
Talk at your normal level, though.
Lion King. Oh, today, hey, this is Scott. We're going to talk about Lion King and
Great.
stupid customer.
Awesome. That's great. Hey, this is Ryan from So Is It Any Good? Thank you so much for checking us out. I look like a homosexual, but that's all right. Let's do it.
Look at that faggot.
Hashtag lest we forget. All right. Cool. I'm going to start recording and I'll intro in just a second.
Hang on. Discord.
Waiting for signal. Recording.
Me also.
All right, cool. Holy heck, this is Ryan from So Is It Any Good? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Nerds. This is the podcast where we talk about movie... one more time, sorry. Holy heck, thank you so much for checking... No, I don't want to say thank you so much. I was going to say... Anyway, sorry. Holy heck, this is Movie Nerds. This is the podcast where we talk about movie news, movie stuff, the movie challenge, and everything movies. I'm your host, Ryan.
Hey, I'm Scott.
I'm Jared.
And this week we're going to talk about anything and everything, maybe. Movie stuff, movie things. But first up, let's talk about some movie news. It's been a lot going on this week. We've lost directors. We've got new castings and movies that probably don't even need to be made. We've lost movies to Australia, to the backburn of the E1 chapter of crappiness. And Power Rangers has released a new trailer that looks probably just as bad as the original Power Rangers movie. But first up, let's talk about Donald Glover joining the Lion King movie that probably doesn't need to be made. Just give you a little background. Donald Glover, you might know from such places as Dong Lover or Community, exactly, Atlanta. And he's going to be playing. Yeah, he's going to be playing Lando Calrissian in the new Han Solo movie, if you care. But right now, he's just been joined as the cast member as Simba in the new Lion King movie. And James Earl Jones is back as Mufasa. What are your thoughts?
This made pretty big waves, I thought. People were pretty excited about this. This is not a film that I think needs to be made.
I completely agree.
I don't understand how this is live action when there's no live action people in it.
I'm thinking,
right?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I guess.
Or is it just an adaptation of the stage play?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, they could do that. Like, they could make it an adaptation of the... Yeah, I mean, they know they won't, but they could.
Yeah, I think at this stage, we're just assuming that... I mean, it's Jon Favreau behind the camera again. We're assuming that it's going to be Jungle Book version 2.
2.0, that's right.
Yeah, and I mean, cool. Donald Glover must be really cool and friendly with Disney at the moment. But I'm all for James Earl Jones, but what's the point? Like,
why are they paying him again? Couldn't they just rehash his old lines from the original movie?
Yeah. He's pretty much going to say the same thing over again, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it so iconic that we can't replace him, but we can replace everybody else, right? They're not as iconic.
Yeah. See you later, Matthew Broderick.
Can you tell me outside of Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Matthew Broderick, who else was in the movie?
Rowan Atkinson as Zazu.
Yeah, who else?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Did you tell me to get with it? Did you say get with it under your breath? Get with it. That's what you're all about, Scott.
Whoopi Goldberg as one of the hyenas, right?
Yep.
Was it Jason Isaacs? Who was
Jason
Scar?
Isaacs? What? Back in '94, he hasn't been even. What are you kidding? Sorry.
The program director of Sports Night plays.
Jeremy Irons played Scar.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons. That's what I was thinking of.
I can't remember who plays. Nathan Lane plays Timon.
Yep, that's true. All right. You've proven your point. I'm an idiot. I'll accept it. Let's move on.
So basically, they're just going to recast all of those guys because they're still alive and animate them.
Well, we'll probably get a new casting announcement every week, and every one of them will actually be released into the movie, or into the jungle, one might say.
Look, I'll be honest, though. Like, I really enjoyed The Jungle Book. I thought it was phenomenally beautiful, obviously, but I thought it was a pretty good adaptation of a film that I quite enjoyed as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they kind of included the songs, but it wasn't tied to the musical version.
No.
And so if they went down the same path, yeah, sure. But I feel like the songs are much more prominent in Lion King, and I feel like it's very hard. You could throw in one or two of them, but I think you're just doing yourself just injustice by not including everything, right? But then I'm afraid to look like Beauty and the Beast, which looks the most average
cookie cutter version of I think something else that is annoying me about Beauty and the Beast is that not only is it a cookie cutter remake, but from what I've heard, there's new songs in it. So I'm hoping that they just haven't added the songs that were deleted on the cutting room floor for the original musical, and they're not going to add. I mean, there was that "We Are Human," I believe it was called, where the I was going to call him the Candlestick, Cogsworth and Lumiere, and the
To Be Human Again.
They were singing about being human and what it's going to be like and stuff like that, and how they've been furniture for so many years.
If the movie posters anything go, they'll only be humans in the film.
Posters are crazy. There's so much ego in those movie posters. I feel like that they felt like they needed to show their.
They need to justify the dollar.
Yeah, but I guarantee. I mean, this is going to sound super racist, but I guarantee that the Lion King version doesn't have a movie poster like that because Hollywood is racist against black people, and that shit's not going to happen because no person will. That's getting really bad. I'm going to fucking cut that shit out. But you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Nope, please explain.
Well, I mean that Hollywood is dodgy as fuck, and.
Also, they actually do become human at some point. So
it makes some sort of sense. In The Lion King, it wouldn't make any sense whatsoever.
Kind of makes sense, yeah. But Lion King, unless they do the Broadway show, which is legitimately over 2 hours long, so you can extend that into a live action film. It's already got a lot of the costume stuff already pretty well designed, so they could adapt that. I don't think they will, but.
I think my main concern is that they put in Morning Report. I think that's my point I was trying to get into. I don't know if you remember Morning Report, the song. It's awful, and it never needs to see the light of day again, but it's in the re-release of The Lion King, the Diamond edition, I believe it's called. And it's a song that Rowan Atkinson sings to Zazu, to Simba and Mufasa as just before they pounce him. And it's awful, and just doesn't need to be in the movie.
So on
it was cut for a reason.
Jabba Rock sequence from Return of the Jedi versus CGI Jabba the Hutt and New Hope. Where did it sit?
I think they're both as bad as each other. To be honest, I don't think they're both at either end of a scale of shittiness. I think they're both at the same end. I would almost say you can't recognize two shitty entries to the Star Wars universe as being the same thing. Give me two better entries.
Okay, how about versus Jedi Rocks then in Return of the Jedi, which is something like a nothing, or even
I'll accept that because it's kind of like the Wampa stuff you could kind of get away with because it almost added to the character. Yeah, I would say it's definitely closer to the what's it called?
Jedi Rocks is
Jedi Rocks.
What it is on the soundtrack.
Okay, yeah, Jedi Rocks. Let's never hear that song again. Yes, it's definitely on the same side of Jedi Rocks. Though Jedi Rocks I can almost live with because I kind of can't remember a time where it wasn't there almost.
Trust you guys to turn a conversation about the Lion King into Star
Yeah,
Wars.
Yeah, it's all Disney.
The
right?
Lion King is
That's
basically
cool synergy.
the remake of Star Wars. Let's be honest.
It's like Hamlet, right?
Isn't it Hamlet?
Which is Star Wars.
No,
No, that's not at all. But
right
let's
down
no.
English.
I failed a lot of things. English was definitely one of them. Sorry, Mr. DeCapian, who lives next to Scott Bond still. Anyway, um, yeah, okay, cool. So we're not really down with the Lion King movie, which
I mean, it's too early to kind of judge, right? But at the moment, it just seems unrequired, unnecessary.
I completely agree. All right, well, how about Matt Reeves? Signed on, I believe, or almost signed on. He was in talks to direct the Batman film, and within a week, he's lost. He's he stopped talking about it. He's not interested. He's left the project completely. So that's now 2 directors for the Batman movie. I believe 3 directors for the Flash film. And what? There was 2 directors left. Wonder Woman, or 1 director, Patty
Yeah.
Jenkins left. So, I mean, James Wan, Aquaman. He's like the only sole survivor left for the DC franchise.
But there was
What the
rumors
hell's going
swirling for
on?
ages that he wanted to get out as well.
Yeah, but he went on
Around
Twitter
the
and
time
said
that
you guys are fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. What do you think's going down at Disney? Do you reckon they're just making shitty films, not listening to?
I'd like to see nothing's going down at Disney, but at Warner Brothers.
Sorry, Warner Brothers. What do you think's going down at Warner Brothers? Do you think that they are still trudging down the shitty road of listening to Zack Snyder and not really listening to the new, Jeff Johns being added to the universe, or do you think they just can't cut a good movie?
I think that the Batman is an interesting one, right? Because you have, and we talked about this last week, but any director that comes on board is ultimately going to be, Ben Affleck's not directing it, and he's, apparently he's still going to star in it, but he's got such a directing eye, right? You're going to be competing with that the entire time on set, and then at the same time you're competing against the basically failure of all the previous movies that have come in front of it. So it's big shoes to fill, and there's a lot of responsibility. And I think someone like Matt Reeves, who I think is really good and really talented, he can do better than like secondhand Batman film that no one is probably going to like before they even start making it. I think the fan expectation at this point, plus the disappointments of all the previous films that have kind of come along, it doesn't bode well for the Batman. I think on the early, already this far on. I mean, we could always be convinced otherwise, but they've got a lot of working against them right now, and I'd be curious to see who they do sign on, because that director is going to have a hell of a job to try and pull anything together, I think, at this point.
I think they just go for a Marvel move and bring in a no-name director that's made an indie movie that, they can just bring in kind of control in a way, but let him do his own kind of thing, and just see how it kind of goes.
Jurassic Park mold.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't really just see how it goes, right? This is their number one property.
Yeah.
It's very hard for them at this point to take risks when things like Suicide Squad, which was already risky, didn't hit, and in Batman vs Superman, which should have been the biggest hit of the century, right? There's these 2 phenomenal characters going face to face on screen for the first time, and it kind of just fell flat.
But do people really like Superman?
Superman is the coolest.
Superman's shit. Superman is a bag full of dicks. Honestly,
Batman just wins.
True. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I found something interesting out today that which I had no idea about. But Batman and Superman are massively outsold toy-wise to Spider-Man. Almost 10-1. Those two heroes are sold out to Spider-Man. So I thought that was interesting, because it kind of like, does anybody really care about these 2 characters? Because I know I don't. I mean, Batman I do, but Superman.
You're saying that Batman and Superman outsell Spider-Man 10-1?
No, Spider-Man outsells Superman and Batman 10-1 at a toy store.
Fair enough. I mean, it's like Superman is interesting because other than Superman Returns in this most recent film, it's not like he has a consistent animated show going on other than Justice League showing up and
but it does, because he's got those. I mean, Justice League actions on it right now, and I don't know how that's going, but he's had the Justice League show prior to that, and he's in Teen Titans, and
maybe kids aren't into straight shooting hero. Everyone wants brooding Batman, right? Or quick whip Spider-Man. maybe, I don't know. Does Superman not sell toys, right?
Yeah,
I've just always found Superman quite boring.
Well, that's the thing. He only has one costume change, right? Pretty much.
and he only
Yeah.
has one weakness, kryptonite. I mean, give him some more weaknesses, and I mean, can't they like? I mean, I know he's been around for what since 1920 or something like that. Been around for a fair amount of years, but we live in a comic book universe. Can't they just give him a new flaw? Like, can't they say like roses hurt him? I know it's like not roses, but you know what I mean. Like, can't they just give him?
I just think people would like throw their arms up in the air about that. It's like all this Captain America
Oh, cry me a fucking river. Like, give him something else that he can get hurt by, because I just don't give a shit. Because
Emotionally scarred, right? It's not always about.
I'm emotionally scarred because all I keep seeing in these movies is some bald guy going, you know what, Superman, I'm going to get you with my crypties.
But that's an interesting point, right? No one has even dared to kind of venture outside the Lex Luthor.
He has so many more villains they can,
Yeah,
like,
I know.
oh, it does my head in.
It's
We don't
probably
need to see
great.
another Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I agree. But Superman, at least in the film universe, is so centered on a Earth presence, and everywhere all these other villains are throughout the cosmos, right? So it's like they're too afraid to kind of venture out there. It's kind of like the risk they took when they made Guardians of the Galaxy, right? In that this was an established space universe that no one outside the comic book kind of fans kind of knew about, and it's like they just wanted to take that risk. And I actually quite enjoyed some of the space elements of Man of Steel.
They kind of did take that risk with Green Lantern, and it kind of fucking failed for them, didn't it?
I know.
I mean, that's like their Guardians of the Galaxy in a way. It's the same sort of scenario, but you know, tanked.
I only watched Green Lantern the first time this week, and I
What'd you
actually
think?
quite liked the premise of the Green Lantern. I don't know much about Green Lantern. I like it. That movie is edited horribly, and there's just so many weird decisions that someone like Martin Campbell did that.
Yeah,
Cinderella is so good.
yeah. It's and who made Martin Campbell made? I was gonna say World War Z. Was that right?
No, that's.
Was that Matt Reeves?
Nope, that's. What's his name? Goodness gracious.
I'm getting them confused for a reason. I'm sure there is. I've got IMDb in front of me.
Costa, who made Quantum of Solace.
Ah, that's it. That's the son of a bitch right there. I'm getting confused because it's a goddamn 23 movie franchise, and don't judge me. All right.
Well, do we want to also just talk about? There's all these rumors going out this week that Ben Affleck himself kind of wants out of the Batman.
I'd cut my losses. I'd get out. I'd get out if I could.
As Ben Affleck, or as Warner?
Ben Affleck getting out is just being Ben Affleck. Look, I'm done with being me. I want to be Matt Damon. That's just what I want. He's got better roles. He's getting more Academy Awards. Just let me out. No, like I think he should get out as being Batman because I know he's the best part about the series, but there is just so much backlash on these movies, and like no matter what anyone does, they're going to get eaten alive. So I feel like just cut your losses, get out. There's no need to, wish-wash about it. Just say Batman died in the last movie, or kill him off in Justice League, give him a, bit of send-off, and bring in Nightwing and Dick Grayson and make him Batman. And
I think that's what's working in his favor right at the moment is that they haven't had a single solo Batman film, so he's kind of just a character as part of Justice League at the moment, which I think they could get away with, right? So I don't think they should recast him. They should just scrap the film altogether and go another direction, I guess, and just have, if he wants to show up in a future Justice League film, sure, but I don't think he can.
Well, the great thing about the DC universe is that, and I'm sure I've brought this up many times, but it's the multiverses. There's so many different universes of that same, realm that they could just say that, this version of the movie is, Earth B or Earth, 127 or something like that, and have the DC TV verse being Earth 0, and then make this whole new verse being Earth 1, and cut their losses kind of thing, and make that make sense, make the multiverses make sense. I know it's a big risk, but there's that opportunity there with Jeff Johns, and he knows what he's doing.
I think if the previous films have taught us anything, it's that they don't know what they're doing.
Who's in charge of Warner Brothers? Can we smack them?
Yeah.
Person just saying, I'm going to smack you, and then I'd probably just walk straight out because I'd be pretty scared because they have a lot of money.
You'd be in trouble. No more free screenings for you.
What do we get every year with Warner Brothers? We get shitty DC films. I'm okay. I'm all right knocking it their movies.
I'm sure
Have they
they do.
brought something
I'm
else?
sure they do
What-
something else.
I hope
What have
you
they given
don't
us this year?
podcast.
What have they given us? Nothing.
It's 'cause
Yeah,
we-
silence. That's right. You
Yeah.
don't know because you have no idea. But last year, not much, right? Nothing big Warner movies came out. Anyway, let's move on. So the next bit is, did anyone check out the recent Power Rangers movie? Sorry, the recent Power Rangers trailer?
Yeah, they name drop Iron Man and Spider-Man. in the
They
trailer.
do. They do.
Oh, really? I have not seen it.
Just live in your own universe, guys.
It's one of those small,
It's not- it's barely
1 minute
real.
trailers. It's kind of like a TV spot, but it's not.
Oh, okay.
And it
It's very
shows,
jump cutty.
it shows a little bit more of the Zords. It shows Rita Repulsa doing her like, make him grow, and then he does like the big grow thing, Goldar, whatever. But all in all, it's just like,
A remake of the pilot, but
yeah, remake of the pilot episode. But the thing that stuck out to me, and the reason why I want to talk about it, is that this movie, it's coming out 2017, and the last time we saw the Power Rangers was 1995, I believe, in the Power Rangers movie, with the original cast and stuff like that. And I have to say that the CGI in this movie isn't that much better. And for something, that came out in 1995, that movie looked god awful. And I'm just kind of thinking, well, the opinion I want to get from you guys is, do you think they're doing that shit on purpose? Because, I mean, this is $170. I'm sorry, $170. That's it. Just a couple of $100, $170 million movie, which is
Really?
a shit ton of money to spend on the Power. Surely they've got to be doing that, as a kind of like a hint, a nod, sorry, to the original movie. What do you think?
it surprised me the budget is that high. I didn't know it was that high. Considering they're dropping it in March, like it seems like a really odd time to be dropping a $170 million movie.
Well, I'm
so-
sure they thought that too when they dropped Deadpool last year and Valentine's Day.
That's probably the key indicator, right? That movie was incredibly cheap in comparison. You could take the risk of dropping it at that time of year. But anyway, I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I also don't think they probably, I don't know, the fairly that taught us anything is that they can't always represent the final product because those shots were obviously worked on, months and months in advance before the trailer was even locked. But, I highly doubt anyone would want to even try to replicate the effects of the original Power Rangers movie.
Sorry,
I
just
think
check
you could
Ben.
successfully.
$120 million, which is still a shitload of money.
That is way
especially-
more money than I would spend on this movie.
Especially when none of the actors are popular. There's no name actors other than Bryan Cranston, which is
Bryan Cranston are mostly voice.
the CGI and voice characters. So I'm sure that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the cast list. There's a person in this called R.J. Cyler.
Dying Girl.
Haven't seen it.
Get with it. It's good. That was a good film from last year. But
What is it?
He was very good in it. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Right. Okay. Meow and a Dying
It's like a
Girl.
weekly recommendation if you haven't seen that one. Very good teen, angsty drama. Good stuff.
Speaking of recommendations, I just got out of watching the autopsy of Jane Doe. I'm not going to tell you how I watched it, but it definitely wasn't legally. And anyway, this is kind of like one of those horror movies that about a guy that's an autopsy person, a coroner, and they're looking at a body, whatever, and all these mysterious things start happening. But it's very well made, and if you get the chance to see it, I highly recommend it. It's got Emile Hirsch in it, Brian Cox. It's a little bit of horror, mostly like a thriller, supernatural a little bit too. It's pretty violent. It's good fun.
How can we check this out legally, Ryan?
Well, legally, you can wait till to the Monster Fest in March at Event Cinemas, George Street. They are doing a festival that you can see it there. That's the only release of it you'll see in Australia. Outside of that, you can get it on video on demand from the Americas, or you can get it legally. That's what Dylan's talking about. Maybe you get it offline from a website that you don't pay for. But what? To be honest with you, you're not going to make that much of a difference. 3 people. Just see the movie. I recommend it. The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
So talking about films that are coming leaked to cinemas.
Yeah. What about John Wick Chapter 2? How about we talk about that?
Ugh.
Has a release date of in the Americas. Has a I'm losing my mind. Has
That's
a
what they
release
call
date.
it still, isn't it? The Americas.
I've had a whole beer. It's a whole beer. Don't judge me.
So it's already out in the US, right?
It's already out. It came out July. Sorry, hell. It's already out. It came out February 10th. And we're not getting it. Originally, it was off the cards altogether, but then there was a outcry from the fans of John Wick or the fans of Keanu Reeves that just can't do him, any wrongs. Probably the FBI. I am an FBI agent. And they complained to. Originally, I thought it was Roadshow, but ends up being it's E1 distributors
Did
here.
they distribute the first film in Australia?
I thought Roadshow did. I don't know. I can't even bother checking it up. It's one of them. If you want to check it, you can. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, so E1, they took a whole lot of backlash on their Twitter account and their Facebook for not releasing the movie.
Props to them, though. They responded to most of the complaints.
They responded to our complaint. I kind of got a little bit worried about it because I'd said some mad, mean things to them. I was like, well, I still want to come to your screenings if you have them. Anyway,
Way to burn bridges, dude.
Exactly. The second after they, had their backlash, whatever they said, we're looking into it, we're going to fix it up, we're going to release it to Australia. Let us know if you want us to release this kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, there's a hint of release date, which would have been April 20th. And we made the announcement and we put it up on our site, and a whole lot of people were excited about it. And then we got the bad news again that it had been pushed to May 10th now, which is almost a whole another month away.
Well, Queensland's still getting it on the 20th. So
Sons of the bitches.
It's a Event Cinemas versus Cineplex or something. The chain is called. So the Queensland chain is taking it early. An Event has decided to push it to May 11th.
Yeah, well, that's what we found out from E1, that once they kind of knew they wanted to release it, they said they were working with cinemas to try and find a spot for it, right? Because ultimately cinemas have to pay E1 to play it. It surprised me they got such a late day in May, because I would have thought that's peak summer or kind of blockbuster season's kind of starting. So it surprises me that, but.
Yeah, it's not like it's something. I don't understand why it has to take so long to get it out. Like, what's out right now, but they can't release it, like, say, next week?
Well, they had got no time to advertise it, no time to get the prints out there. Or
The word's already out. The word's already out. People want to see it. If they just said John Wick's coming out this week on their Facebook, people will probably get it.
You reckon?
Yeah, pay for some Facebook ads.
I think you underestimate. Like, the first one was really good, right? But what?
We had a meme of Sarah Connor lighting up on fire, and it went to 3 million people. This is John Wick 2. This is a multi-million-dollar movie. Just put a little bit of Facebook ads to it. We didn't pay any ads, and we got that. Put a little bit of Facebook ads. I don't know what you do with Facebook ads, but I'm just assuming you just throw money at it, and then they happen, and and then get it happening, get it on air.
I think you underestimate the amount of effort that goes into putting these things out there. But like,
I think they go to too much effort.
Yeah. Okay.
No one needs those bus shelter posters. I mean,
this is a big risk for anyone, right? Because they didn't know how this film was going to play.
yes, they did. Come on. Well, you have to be an idiot not to realize how this movie was going to play.
What if it sucked?
Come on.
Well, they're fairly small.
Everyone is back for this movie.
It's everyone. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and Chad Stahelski, whatever his name is, the director. Or there was two directors for the original one. One of them kind of piked and went on to
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool, and Chad was left by himself. And Chad was good, so he stayed on. I'm really sorry for making a reference to Charlie's Angels right there, but like, just had to happen. It was an obvious money-making movie. I don't think it's one of those movies where I'm second guessing it. It's not like they're remaking Point Break, that was a movie that came straight to Australia. Like, we got that 2 days before America did. Point fucking Break, the remake.
I think the worst scenario. So this is it's quite a big difference between the US and Australia release. But let's talk about the Lego.
Huge difference.
Lego Batman movie, right?
Yeah.
Made in Australia. The first film copped a lot of flack because of the time difference between the US and Australian release, and we're still getting it like a month after the US release.
And old mate, I'm going to call him old mate, Mr. Village Roadshow. Don't know his name pending. Said that he would never do that again after the release of the Lego Movie, and that it made an abysmal amount of.
Right? Why bother putting things on screen outside of school holidays when they have a key audience? But at the same time, and I don't know, I feel like Batman is for all ages, right, to some degree. And so,
but couldn't they just keep it on in the cinemas? Like, I know they'd be losing money technically to the cinemas because as the movies progress on, they get cheaper and cheaper to the Cineplex. But
like,
know what I'm saying?
I think it'll be a big hit this school holidays, but it sucks for us for the wait.
But it's not like kids don't want to watch movies outside of school holidays. And what they do is they just stockpile all of the children's films and release them within a 2-week period. So
yeah,
they're cutting their own noses off to spite their face because they're losing dollars anyway because there's so much other stuff that's geared towards the same market.
And this is because this is not just. I think adults would have equally as much interest as kids would in this, so it surprises me that they've done this. Yeah, and considering the history that we had, I think the piracy levels of the Lego Movie in Australia were just like the highest of the year.
Well, as a parent that has 2 kids, I would be actually okay with them having movies out almost every week as being, as kid movies and stuff like that. It shits me to tears that I have to wait till the kids' school holidays to be able to take my kids to the movies. Like, give me something that my kids can see at all times, and I'm taking the kids to movies. You're only taking more money from me.
Until they're in school.
Because the school holidays is like the one time that you don't want to take them to the movies as well.
The kids that are in school, I mean, I know this primary school, but the kids in high school and stuff like that, they're not going to see Batman. They're going to see John Wick 2. And that movie's not coming out school holidays. It's fucking coming out in May. Fuck you, John Wick 2. Come out now. Let's move on. A little bit of news. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but did you guys see that Rufio is kickstarting a short film for the origin stories of his character Rufio?
Oh God.
He's trying to. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw it.
Does anyone give a fuck what happened to Rufio before, like, the hook? I didn't care about Rufio in that movie. I liked saying Rufio. That was it. They were at $5,000 last time I checked, and that was 2 days into it. They need 30,000, I'm pretty sure, but I will have a look.
Didn't they read if they got like 100,000, they'd make a feature length?
Yes, and
isn't he fat now?
Yeah, but the issue is it's not going to be him playing it.
Right. Okay.
It'll probably do.
So they're going to get a kid.
Yeah, they're doing an open casting call that'll be, a kid playing Rufio, and I would imagine that the guy that plays him, that I can't remember what his name is, will be a a cameo narration or something like that.
Sure.
I think this is not news.
Oh, look, it's not news, but it's kind of just like.
It's like one of those weird curiosity things.
Yeah, it was,
holy fuck!
They're at $40,000.
He went over. They needed 30,000 to make the goal, so it's going to happen.
Oh jeez.
They've made 40,000 so far, and still got 22 days to go.
No, we're getting a feature.
Yeah. What point do they get a feature? That's a good point.
What point do they get a knock knock? This is our intellectual property.
Yeah.
Probably pretty soon. At 200,000 or higher, they will make a feature film. So they're at 40,000 now with 22 days to go. I wouldn't be surprised if they made that.
Was Hook Disney?
If it was like legit, wasn't a fan film kind of thing.
What, bring back Spielberg?
We'll be able to touch it again, but just production kind of had the same kind of production design.
Yeah, well, Disney is looking at making another Peter Pan film. That's their next big project after Beauty and the Beast, from what I know.
What about Mulan and all these other
ones? Oh, yeah, and Little Mermaid and all that shit. But look, it's on the cards. They already have a director in place.
Haven't they done Peter Pan enough? 2 of them have already tanked. They don't need to do another one.
Did Pan tank? Yes, it tanked horribly.
The other one,
the Australian Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, that also tanked.
PJ Hogan one.
Yeah. Also
That was
tanked.
that was the Australian one a while back, right?
Yeah, it has good music, along with really good music. Along with Jason Isaac's book.
Right. Yeah, that tanked too. I
Good
don't know what the
music
budget
does
was, and
not
I don't know what it
good-
made, but
That was the first time Peter Pan had ever been brought to the screen in live action. Is that bizarre?
really, was it?
Yep.
Holy shit!
For story of Peter Pan, yeah.
See, if
Oh.
that's the first time and people still didn't want to see it.
2003. PJ Hogan. Oh, you're right. Who is PJ Hogan? Tell me all about him, Scott. Give me a rundown.
Muriel's Wedding.
Muriel's Wedding and
Ah,
My Best Friend's Wedding.
he directed My Best Friend's Wedding. That's what he did after Muriel's Wedding.
I think so.
No, really?
Next thing.
That's interesting. It was a budget of 130 million. It made 122 million for those playing at home. And PJ Hogan, the Australian director, not to be confused with Paul Hogan, made the movies. His first movie was Humpty Dumpty Man. Then he went on to make Muriel's Wedding, My Best Friend's Wedding. You're all right. You're all right. You are white. You're white. And then he made Peter Pan, Confessions of a Shopaholic, Mental, who also had Tony Collette in it. And then he wrote The Dressmaker. And the next one he's doing is Fixer Upper, which is a sequel to Frozen, apparently. No, just joking. Yeah, Muriel's Wedding. Cool. Okay, well, all right, well, let's move on from that. So let's move on to the movie challenge. We're up to week 7. Most of us skipped week 6 because I don't know why I chose a silent film, but I did. Scoot, let's
Damn
talk
you,
about
Brian.
your thing. What happened with you with the silent movie?
So I watched the George Méliès film, The Trip to the Moon.
You attempted.
Yeah, I fell asleep about 2 minutes into a 12-minute film. I was very tired at the time. It was on YouTube, so I downloaded it to my phone. I've yet to get back to it. I'm really excited to watch it because I love that stuff in Hugo, right?
It's only 12 minutes, Scoot.
I know, it was late on Saturday night, Jared.
But how have you not?
It was
done that?
8:30.
It was 8:30. I'm an old man.
All right. Well, what'd you watch this week, Scott?
So this week was the topic. Was
Oh yeah, the topic. Give me the
live-action
topic.
film. So this was live action films from the 90s, which is actually something I was quite excited
Live
about.
action films. What type?
Live action Disney films.
There it is.
Before the 90s. So this was actually pretty neat because, like, for people of our age, we kind of grew up with these live action Disney films, right? But there definitely weren't as many of them as compared to, the 50s, 60s, 70s. The Disney studios were pumping out a crap load of movies during this time period, and a lot of them were filler kind of Saturday morning matinee kind of films that saw people like Kurt Russell kind of come out of them, and a whole bunch of different little actors. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of them, and definitely the influence of them has been seen throughout the years, especially some of big Disney parks, and there's a whole bunch of this kind of stuff that's out of the park. So this week I watched something I should have watched a long time ago, which was 1954's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So this was a film that Walt himself personally produced. And for those who don't know, this is a live action telling of the Jules Verne book, Captain Nemo, the Nautilus sub, and all these kind of underwater happenings.
Inspiration for a Disney ride?
Yes, correct. So there is 20,000 Leagues stuff that used to be at Disney World, and there still is at Disneyland Paris and Tokyo Disney Sea. So it's definitely still a part of the Disney parks everywhere, right? But so this is Kirk Douglas, James Mason.
How is Kirk Douglas still alive?
Oh, he's doing well.
He is
a really interesting
fucking
fact
zombie.
about this film. So the film opens with a bit of a kind of a town hall, and he shows up with 2 ladies over his arms. I read that he actually made them write that sequence in just so he could keep his manly image and action hero kind of image to the film. So they wrote this whole sequence where he's just running around with 2 birds on his arms.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the film is really good. I thought there's some wonderful effects. I love the design of the Nautilus submarine. I think it's just really, really awesome. James Mason is really good as Captain Nemo. He's kind of like the stern guy who's kind of told the rest of the world to kind of piss off. I'm leaving him under the submarine. Some interesting. You can see a lot of the footage that they shot for the True Life Adventures documentary series that Disney kind of produced in the 50s, 60s. Kind of the same kind of thing come into play. There's a lot of shots of nice coral and sea animals. At one point, they go farming. So these guys live in the submarine, kind of live by the sea, and everything they eat and everything's from the sea. And at one point, they go farming, and they just literally footage of them pulling turtles along by their fins and stuff, which I couldn't believe. But so the big fake,
Special effects.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. And there's kind of neat little things. Like there's one sequence where they're standing at the window of the submarine. You can see that they've hand animated little fish to kind of swim by. But, and you know, they don't look so great, but it's kind of neat to kind of see them using all the skills that the studio had off at that point. Also, I love obviously the big sequence of the film, which is the battle against the giant squid. Awesome. And once again, one of the things I read about was they originally shot that sequence during the daytime. It was calm during sunset, and it just didn't work because you could see all the strings that were holding the big fake squid. And so Disney came along and said, no, let's film it at night during a storm, and it looks awesome. Really cool effect for its time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
So 1954.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, definitely way older than I thought it would be. But you know, it has pacing issues. Like, it's not the quickest film, and I find a lot of those films of that era had this, you know, are not as action-packed and in your face as kind of what we see today. But definitely, like, this is one of the best films I think I've seen this year as part of the series of things to watch. And I'm really kind of glad I saw it, and it's something that I would gladly watch again.
Cool. Maybe I'll check it out. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, not 2,000, not to be confused with.
A league is a distance, apparently, not a depth. So they just go underwater, 20,000 leagues. It's like 3 nautical miles. So I looked it up. It's about they go around the Earth like twice during this course of this film.
All right, cool. I didn't know that. Good tip. What about yourself, Jared? What did you watch? Just what to watch.
So circle back around to the silent movies because I actually watched one.
All right, all right. Openly, I watched nothing.
Yeah.
It was pretty silent, so I guess that counts.
Well, yeah. I went for the newest silent film, The Artist, which was released in 2011.
The Academy Award winning Best Picture, right?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was bored for a lot of it. It's what you don't know going into it is that it's a French film, so all of the title cards are in French and then subtitled underneath them.
Oh,
really? So you're not quite sure
two versions?
I don't know. You're not quite sure where to look, first of all. And then they also don't title card everything that the characters are saying, so you have to kind of interpret just from gestures and facial expressions. So, yeah, it requires a lot of actual patience and looking at the screen, which didn't really gel with me because I was bored and wanted to look at my phone. So,
now, you bring up an interesting point. If I just quickly jump in, have you guys struggled throughout this thing of staying engaged, like throughout this movie challenge? Like, it's hard. I think when you have cell phones and all these other distractions, how do you, for films that you may find boring or maybe find a little slower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you guys find yourself distracted?
Yeah.
I struggle.
I have to put my phone away.
It might be just the decades that maybe came out. The pacing's a little bit slower. The movies are a little bit slower. There's not much happening in a lot of them. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the movies we've watched so far have been quite old, right?
Yeah, correct. And I'm with Jared. I try and put my phone away as best as I can because, I mean, if I would be completely different if I was in the theater, right? But because you're home, it's there. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
I would love to see all these things in the theater. I think just so I didn't seem so distracted.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Ryan, what'd you watch?
hang
on. Jared, what Disney movie did you watch?
Oh, come on, Jared, spit it out.
Family Disney live action film.
Yes. What did you watch?
Finishing off, Artist, not so great. I don't know why it won Best Picture.
Was it
and
Crash?
then let's not get started on that. For this week's movie, or last week's movie, I watched the 1975 classic Escape to Witch Mountain, which was remade in 2009, starring The Rock, and it was called Race to Witch Mountain, I think. In any case, it's about two orphan children, a brother and sister duo who have like weird telepathic and telekinesis powers.
Mm-hmm.
And they are kidnapped by some sort of millionaire who wants them to find like oil fields and predict the stock market for him.
Right.
And then they escape and find a cranky widower in an RV who's going to help them get back to their family, who they think is somewhere in the vicinity of Witch Mountain.
Right.
And that is the film in a nutshell. It is. It stars Eddie Albert, who is maybe known by people from Green Acres. He was the main guy in that.
Green Acres.
The two child actors are uniformly terrible.
Are the two child actors the ones from Mary Poppins?
No, they are
Oh.
not.
That kid died. The boy died.
Sorry. I have to edit that out. Sorry.
Oh.
That was big. Sorry, let's go from that again. Are the two child actors the kids from Mary Poppins? This hasn't been run done before. No, they're not. Okay, so we move on
Those
from
kids
that.
were English.
Isn't every kid in a Disney movie English? I feel like,
Who
No.
Russell's not?
doesn't he just put on an English accent? Hello, governor. That's as best as it gets for me.
Yeah, but like Scoot said, there's pacing is like it's deathly slow, this movie, and
Yeah,
it's only 97 minutes, but it felt like 3 hours.
Fair enough. Was there any good redeeming parts?
There's a sequence at the end where the RV flies. That's about
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah, it turns out that they're not from this world, so there's an alien aspect to it. Spoiler alert.
Well, that's the main aspect in the remake.
Yeah, so I think in the remake
they say that straight away.
they've dropped any pretense of them being aliens. Like,
I
so
think that to the original film.
yeah, so it's all sort of mysterious, and you don't quite find out until the spaceship takes off at the end of the movie that they're alien beings.
Right. Cool.
They don't really remember where they're from, or they just know that they have to get to this place. And there's some interesting stuff. There's a really extended car chase with the RV and some cars and a helicopter, which is very strange. But yeah, there's just not a lot to recommend in it.
Fair enough.
Do you recommend the remake?
I haven't seen the remake. Maybe that's something that I need to watch.
I have seen it.
And you rate it?
When I saw it, I rated it, but I think it's one of those movies that it's one of those family movies where you can just kind of sit down and watch, go turn off your brain for a couple of minutes, an hour and a half, whatever, and tune out, but also tune in a way. And it stars The Rock. Like, Rock's the one of the main characters. How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's not great, but maybe watch it. Maybe watch it instead of this one.
Well, the old one could have used more Rock.
Anything can use more Rock, I think.
Yeah. Let's be
The Rock
honest.
could probably use a little bit more Rock sometimes. Maybe when he gets up in the morning.
Ryan, would you watch it?
Before I go awkwardly off into a distant land. I'm not going to lie to you. When I started off, I started watching the remake of Pete's Dragon, not realizing that I had stipulated that the movies needed to be prior to the 1990s. So stupidly, I watched the remake of Pete's Dragon. But prior to the podcast, I did watch the original Pete's Dragon. So I watched both. Step back, I know everything now. And what I have to tell you is that the original is shit. The original is no good. And it came out, I'll take you back in time. It came out in 1977, the same year as Star Wars came out. And these movies are directed at both the same ages, the same demographic. You got kids, bit of special effects, bit of Disney love in both movies almost in a way. But Pete's Dragon feels like it came out of the 1920s. The movie is set in the 1920s from memory. I only watched it last night, so let's not talk about that. But anyway, the movie is set in 1920. Stars an orphan kid who what seemingly has a imaginary friend who is a green animated dragon named Elliot. And along the way, he meets a couple of new people. He gets brought into a family, and they eventually see Elliot, who is in this case real, and it's a musical. Mickey Rourke's in it. Not Mickey Rourke, Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, not to get confused. And
Mickey Rourke plays the animated dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Look, in the animated dragon, the animated dragon, the animated dragon stuff's not bad. Like, when I first watched it, or when I first saw it, I didn't think they were actually going to bring it into a 3D realm. Like, I mean, I know they were going to put it into a 2D plane animation into a 3D universe, but I didn't think they'd be able to, spin the character around and kind of make him walk around in the universe, in the 3D realm, because they did that sort of same sort of stuff in Mary Poppins, which came out when the late 60s, I believe. Yeah, let's just say the late 60s for Mary Poppins, and they did that with the penguins in that movie, and that kind of just felt very flat. This movie, he kind of moves around a little bit. He scales up, scales down. He feels very 3D in a 2D animated object, which is pretty cool. And the characters interact with him. Pete, in a way, Pete sits on him at points and lays down with him, holds his hand, flies on him at points. It all feels kind of real to an extent of, it's an animated character. But for 1977, it's not too bad. But then you think about it and you go, hang on, Star Wars came out the same year as this movie. And you go, well, nope, it's a bit shit, to be honest.
It's an interesting viewpoint, right? So what you're talking about with the animation across the live action, I mean, Disney's been doing that since the Alice comedies before Mickey Mouse. So that's kind of like one of their oldest tricks in the book. And to get it to the point where you're saying that it interacts really well is really cool. But at the same time, you're right. Star Wars comes out that same year and changes everything. And then you can kind of see this downward slope that Disney hit in the late 70s and then throughout the 80s until Little Mermaid, where they didn't really know what they're doing. You get things like Black Hole and Tron, things that weren't hit, but they thought, well, let's try to do something else because that's kind of what's popular at the moment. I kind of think you see Pete's Dragon as being the end of that era of let's do traditional kind of stuff, Disney stuff.
Yeah.
And now we'll crack the kids now into Star Wars, spacey, sci-fi, all this different stuff. Let's try our hands at some other things. And I don't think anything really sat well with them as a studio until kind of like Little Mermaid, right? Yeah,
but it's just crazy to think that the kids of that decade, or the kids that saw this movie, like 1977, you're sitting in a cinema, you're going like, look, Mum, I want to go see Pete's Dragon, this live action movie that has animated dragon, looks fucking great, let's go see it. You sit down and you watch this musical. At the start of the movie, it's got cannibals that are trying to, they're literally singing a song about noosing up a kid, stringing him up, then following after that, putting him into a boiling pot and then eating him is a song in the musical, whatever. And then, it continues on, it gets more bonkers and more bonkers. And then, 2 months later, they get Star Wars. Like, I would have fucking lost my mind when Star Wars came out. Like, I didn't get that shit till I was, say like 3 or 4, so probably 1989. And all those movies have already been out for, almost 10 years, I guess, at that point. And, or at least one of them has been out for a little bit longer than 10 years. Anyway, my point being is that it's just crazy the leap that happened in that year. Like, if those two movies had come out, or such a different movie had come out this year, competing with, say, Avengers or something like that has such great CGI in it, it just, like, the leap that happened in that year, I think, is just crazy. Like, the movie Pete's Dragon, the original, feels like it came out of like 1950 when you think about Star Wars came out the same year. And that's, I guess, pretty much only the redeeming factor from that movie, because to me it was shit. I didn't like it. There's nothing I enjoyed about it. But I also, the day before that, watched the remake, which is fucking great. And I don't know why that movie didn't make any money, because it's really good. And I highly recommend it. If you have kids, just sit down and watch that movie, because it's awesome. It's so Disney. Or the Disney, I think, it's, Disney now. It feels like a 90s family movie, like Homeward Bound kind of style. It's not a musical by anyone's means. It's just a story of this kid who loses his parents. Spoiler alert, happens in the first 2 seconds of the movie, and is lost in a forest, similar to the Jungle Book. But he befriends a green dragon who is very much a real thing, and tells a tale of what he does in his life, and eventually he leads to meeting another family that could eventually whatever happens. But it's very good. I highly recommend it. It's good action, good family movie. There's no real big scary things. I find a lot of movies tend to go very dark and scare the crap out of my kids, but this movie doesn't do it.
Decent cast, right? Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, great cast. Robert Redford.
Oh, Robert Redford. Yeah,
like Carl Urban, I guess. I guess you call that a good cast. Sorry, Carl. Don't judge me.
It's from New Zealand, right? He just moved down the road.
Yeah, it did feel like New Zealand. I didn't check that, but it does feel like New Zealand. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a great movie. In fact, I watched it again yesterday, so I've watched it twice already, and my kids loved it.
Kids, yeah?
Well, I watched it with the kids
Yeah.
originally, and the plan was to watch it as part of this series, but I forgot that it had to be prior to 90, so I stuffed myself over and had to watch the original Pete's Dragon after it. But that was okay because in a way, I guess I should have seen Pete's Dragon prior to this situation, but I haven't. But yeah, anyway, that's my point of the story. Pete's Dragon, the remake, it made no money in the box office. I guess it made twice as much as it cost, but if you're in Cura marketing fees, it made no money. But it definitely should. So if you get a chance, pay for it. I paid for it. It's shocking, I know. I paid $4 for it off Google Play.
Oh, well done.
Look out.
Survey money?
From my survey, don't tell people that because that makes it seem like I didn't pay for it.
Well, you did, just through your information.
That's right. They like to know that I've gone to McDonald's a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I bloody leave McDonald's, it always judges me. It's like, have you visited McDonald's in the last couple of days? And what'd you think?
On a scale of 7 to 20 Big Macs.
Yeah. About 14 Big Macs. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. So that's what I watched.
I actually really enjoyed this. I thought there was a lot of opportunities of things to watch, and actually, as I said, there's so many films in this kind of genre or this category, and I think there's probably a lot of good ones in there that definitely have things that I've skipped over that I should have seen. Yeah,
well, I think that's what I was thinking when I wrote it down originally, that I wanted to, because I've seen so many 90s Disney movies that I wanted to avoid that, and I wanted to see something out of those 90s movies that I hadn't seen before. And it was good because I did want to watch Pete's Dragon because I'd always seen the re-release cover at the DVD stores and stuff like that.
They've remade so many of those older Disney films anyway.
This one definitely deserved a remake, and they did a really good job with it. And it's one of those remakes where it's in the same line and the same tune as the original, but it's a totally different movie. It's very much E.T. and Homeward Bound, if you merge those two movies together, you'd get the Green Dragon.
You get the Green Dragon.
You get the Green Dragon. You get Pete's Dragon, the remake.
Is it a little bit Free Willy as well?
A little bit Free Willy, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a hint of a smidge. Probably a little bit more than a hint of a smidge. Probably a lot, actually. It's probably closer to being Free Willy and E.T. than it is Homeward Bound. I just liked Homeward Bound, all right? Don't judge me. I miss Shadow. And the other two chaps, Sassy and...
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, what was Michael J. Fox's character name? Dog. Shadow, Sassy, and...
Michael J. Fox.
Come on, I need to think what it's
Who
called.
voiced the cat?
Sally Field?
Who's the Labrador?
I don't know. I think it's a golden retriever. It's a golden retriever. No, it's not the same thing. I don't want to get started about that. It's a totally different dog. But anyway, Shadow sounds like a young person trying to put on an old person's voice. He's like, oh, it's me, Shadow. I'm a real old dog. That kind of stuff. I guarantee you listen to fucking Homeward Bound. That's what it sounds like.
Thanks for joining us this week.
Anyway, all right. Well, maybe we'll leave it there. What's coming up next week for the movie challenge?
So next week is a very broad topic. This is romantic comedy.
Right.
Oh wow.
Went into this week.
No, not much. It did actually, because when I jotted it down, I was like, well, I haven't seen Four Weddings and a Funeral. Probably should watch that.
That's the one I was going to watch. This morning, my boss I took me about 2 hours to commute to work, so I got through.
2 hours?
Close to it. The M2 is very good today. But I decided to watch Sleepers in Seattle, not realizing that romantic comedy was this week's thing. It wasn't bad. It's a bit weird, but it's alright.
Sleepers in Seattle. I don't mind that movie. It's alright.
Have you not seen that, Scoop?
No, I've never seen it. But I felt sorry for Bill Pullman. And he's kind of just like, he lets it go at the end. He doesn't care.
I don't remember what happens to him. Give me a bit of a
We all
refresh.
feel sorry for Bill.
Let's wait for next week. Let's wait for next week.
I'm going to watch something else.
Oh. Well, then make sure you tell me what happens to Bill Pullman because I'm getting a bit upset about it. All right, well, let's leave it there. So this has been the Movie Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, or I'm a host, Ryan. I'm all right, I guess. I'm a host at one time and maybe 2 times. I'm gonna do it one more time. All right, let's all right, let's just leave it there. This is the movie. Oh, fuck's sake! One more time. All right, well, let's just leave it there. This is the Movie Nerds podcast. Oh, fuck's sake! All right, well, let's just leave it there. This is the Movie Nerds podcast. This is the podcast where we've joined up the movie challenge and the movie cast all in one bundle for you to enjoy. If you like what you hear, make sure you check us out next week and subscribe to the podcast if you can. If there's a subscribe button, I don't know if there is, but make sure you hit it.
Yes, there is.
And
Friends.
until next week, I'm Ryan.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Jared.
And we'll show you who's going to be in next week's episode because it probably will be different. But I'll always be here and probably Scott. Jared might disappear. Who knows? You'll find it next week.
I might have stuff to do. Who knows?
All right, let's do it. Meow.
That's the new official ending. Now.
Are we always ending on a meow now?
It should be. Oh, maybe I'll do a new dog noise new animal noise every time.
Just say goodbye, Shadow.
Okay. This I can't. How's it sound? This is Shadow from Homeward Bound. I can't wait to meet my friend again. Oh, bye. That's all I've got. All right, peace out. I guarantee you that's what he sounds like. I'm gonna put it on right now. I'll show you. The Shadow from.
I have no connection to Homeward Bound.
What do you mean? You don't remember Homeward Bound?
I remember it. I just don't remember caring. The second one is San Francisco, right? And there was another dog film where Jesse Bradford was stuck on an island.
Oh yeah. White Fang?
No, that's
The yellow dog?
No, it's White Squall.
I don't know, some.
Yeah, Adventures Yellow Dog or something. Is Jared still online?
You still there, Jared?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm trying to find something of Shadow.
His name.
Chance.
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna say?
No, it was Don Amici who does the voice of Shadow.
Oh,
Who's quite old, I think. So
is it?
his IMDb profile pic is black and white. So yes.
Here you go, listen to this.
Is that Banks?
No, it's not Banks. Oh, Peter.
Yeah, he was quite old when that movie was made.
Peter.
Oh, he died the same year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. Who voiced him in number 2?
In the sequel,
It's gonna break my heart.
The Journey
I
Home.
don't
Right?
know.
Yeah, no, this one was the Journey Home.
Oh, what's the sequel?
Lost in San Fran or something like that. I'm sure it is.
Lost in San Francisco.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I was right.
Ralph Waite took over. Don't know who that is.
How did they get lost again?
How did they get lost the first time? That's
Are they all the same owner?
remake, did you know? It's a remake of the movie The Incredible Journey. Did anyone know that?
No.
I did not.
A Disney film?
Yep. Incredible Journey didn't have any voice actors. It was just like Shadow looks totally different.
It's just throwing dogs and cats into harmful
Yeah, it was like-
situations.
It was like
and
Marlon
filming
Otis, but no voiceover.
Milo
Right.
production story it was on. Do you know how many we were?
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Anyway, all right, let's just leave it
Forgot to
there.
move the mic.
Cool. All right, too easy.
Awesome.
All right, well, thanks for that, Jared. Appreciate
No
it.
worries.
Same bat channel, same bat time. I had to work out what I want to say, I think. I lost it a bit there.
That's all right. You did well.
All right, cool.
I think you should edit out the illegal download file.
Why? Yes.
I think
Maybe
it's
I will.
funny.
We'll see how it goes. I'll see how it sounds. All right, too easy. How's Foxtel going these days, Jared?
It's pretty sad at the moment.
Why?
Well, it's just I have no friends left.
Oh, don't say that. Come and have lunch with me. I'm here every day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I always forget that you're just across the road.
I never have lunch with anyone. I just sit at my desk and have lunch, or I go down to McDonald's or something like that and just sit by myself every day because I have no friends at work.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you wanna have lunch, that'd be cool.
yeah.
I used to have
Let's do it
lunch
this
with
week.
Scotty Mac all the time, but then he left and
Yeah, became a rock star.
he's not anymore though. He's just sitting at home, fucking
Oh, is he?
lodging. Yeah, he doesn't. He's not touring with them right now. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. We'll leave it there. And yeah, I guess we'll talk soon.
Are you gonna edit it?
Yeah, I will.
All right, I'll send you the recording from my side.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. Talk to you later, man.
Take it easy, fellas.
Bye.